guys, so I realised I'm a little bit behind in terms of doing videos. March is always a busy month. We have so many birthdays. Last weekend I went to Edinburgh with my sister, so I didn't really get to do anything then. I tried to do did a little video before though, which was on the Friday, which was reorganising my lovely bookshelf behind me. So I got that for my birthday, and I left it like as it was for ages. My partner had put a few books on it for me when he'd built it, like the week before. And then I finally got around to doing it on Friday. It took me like an hour to organise all of my books and put them all nicely together. But I like it. I love it as it is, and I just can't stop looking at it. And it's really nice to have a video now where I'm actually sat like right in front of it, so you can kind of see what my books are and my little trinkety things in front of it as well. But yeah, so I thought this is a book video that I've seen going around for quite a while, where authors, lovely authors, will read you some of their debut novel. So this is my proof copy. I only have this one at the moment. I am supposed to buy some more copies because I'm going to an event next month, my first ever author event, which I can't wait to go to with a couple of other lovely authors. Yeah, so I thought, I've seen this video go around a few times, and I thought maybe, it might entice you, maybe it might be your kind of type of thing, or if not, it might be like you might be able to recommend it to someone that you love. But yeah, here we go. So, Steel Princess. I'll read you the blurb first, so just in case you don't know what it's about. Okay, so 2 worlds, one of magic, one of steel. She just wants to belong. Determined to fit in and connect with her human friends, Android Silver has always felt like an outsider within her human travelling community. In Elysia, humans are seen as outsiders, their Steel Queen claiming every last one of them as rebels. They've always been on the run. Like her mother, Silver. Sorry, there's a bit over the top of it. Like her mother, Silver just wants to help others. But when cruel Queen Magnolia's soldiers come looking for their missing princess, who was stolen by rebels when she was only 3 years old, Silver begins to unravel an endless string of secrets woven into the family she has always cared for. Could her parents have stolen her from the Elysian palace when she was small? Worse, could she be the princess they're looking for? After journeying to their northern mountain sanctuary where her parents were born, Silver finds a new purpose. She must kill the cruel queen and take her throne before she destroys them all. So that is my blurb. I haven't read that in a while, so they're not for resale over it, so that's why I stumbled a little bit in the middle. But yeah. So this is the inside. We've got the lovely tiara that my partner designed for me, and then I'll show you some cool things as well. Got my dedication for my family and my partner. Lovely map. The part 1, lovely formatted. The cog behind was also drawn by my partner, and then my formatter put it all in nicely together. Character art is by a artist on TikTok called Athena Bliss. I can't speak today, sorry. She is brilliant at what she does, and I won't read Eden's chapter, but he does also have his own character art, so he's the other narrator. I can find it. I'll show you what he looks like, because he's got some character art as well. So he is a tinker in the palace, building and repairing the bots, and then Silver is of course the android princess. Well, she doesn't know she's a princess until the beginning of this book. So, number 1, Silver. Okay. Beyond the scarlet rose bushes on the other side of the field was a world unknown. I knew very little of the Steel City, only that it was forbidden because the guards that patrolled its gates were said to be dangerous, and its queen even more so. A cruel queen who used her men to hunt down and destroy every residential base belonging to humankind, merely because she saw them as a threat to her queendom. Wasn't that something? Elysia has only ever been a mystery, one I've always longed to know more about. So many times over the years, I contemplated running away and heading for the high iron wall that kept those bots safe inside the city. the one that kept humankind out. The more we rode away from that wall, the more I was drawn to it. It was as if I was a part of it, and it was bringing me home. But I'd never set foot within the city, as far as I knew, I'd only ever lived with my travelling tribe. As the only gynoid in my human community, I wondered whether this was where I truly belonged, always travelling and never knowing who I really was. Every day we worked the same routine: eat, sleep, work and repeat. Mama, our community's healer, required many plants for her remedies, so when we weren't driving through the hills in our family caravans, we scoured the fields for hours while our fathers hunted animals for food. There was rarely any change in our community, but over the last week I'd been planning a way out. Even just for a short while, I would find my way into the city of Elysia. What of my kind, the androids and gynoids like me? Surely there were more of us. I needed to find out for myself because my family refused to tell me anything. Perhaps they thought they were protecting me. But all they were doing was filling me with a rage that I struggled to conceal more and more with each passing day. Now it was time. My friends were in the field behind me, laughing loudly at something that Jackson had said, so I made use of the distraction and slipped away through the trees into the nearby forest, finally allowing my curiosity to control my footsteps, taking with me one of those roses and holding it to my nose. I'd seen Azaria snipping the flowers countless times, watched her pluck them from the bushes without considering the thorns and the damage they could cause. I tried to inhale as she'd done so many times before, attempted to imagine the earthy scent she always talked about. I uncovered the leafy smell that reminded me so much of Mama and her warm hugs, and instantly relaxed. I began walking away but paused, trying and failing not to listen when I heard them speaking about me. "Where's she going?" I heard Azaria ask. There I was, thinking I was invisible and they wouldn't notice it if I left. Clearly I was wrong. "She's heading for the wall," Jackson said. "Ignore her, she's weird," said Thomas. I'd always sensed that he didn't like me, but I'd never heard him say it so directly. An ice-cold chill rushed through me, not a feeling I'd ever experienced before, and not one I wanted to feel again. What was happening to me? "Don't be cruel, Thomas. She's just different," said Jasmina. My dear friend with the kind heart, the singing voice of a pretty bird and the smile that can make anyone feel better. I loved her for sticking up for me like this, especially against her boyfriend, but she shouldn't have to. Although Thomas was acting strangely and I wasn't sure how to deal with that. "Bag of iron rods and plastic, that's what she is," Thomas retorted. Those words gave me the sudden urge to turn around and smack him with one of those rods, but then I realised where my thoughts were going and forced myself to stop. I understood his tone well enough to know when his words were cruel, and that triggered something within me, something dangerous. System error. The error message flashed before my vision, taking me by surprise, but as quickly as it appeared, it flickered and vanished. What was wrong with me? Perhaps he was right. Maybe I was just something to be possessed, something bought and owned. Something that wasn't truly real, that didn't deserve to have feelings or any kind of empathy. Why was I even here? "Thomas," said Jasmina, gasping with horror. Azaria and Jackson shared the same reaction, while Thomas just shrugged. "What? It's true, isn't it?" he said, his voice barely louder than a whisper. "She'll never be like us." "Go and apologize," Jasmina scorned him. "Right now." "Fine." He turned in my direction, but clearly not happy with his reaction. Jasmina stormed away, leaving Thomas to change his mind and chase after her instead. I watched them go, wondering what I'd done to earn such cruelty from the boy I'd always thought was my friend. But if I knew it was Azaria he'd spoken of, she would have let it brush over her. She wouldn't have taken it personally, so perhaps I should do the same. Maybe he wasn't happy with his own life, so he felt he needed to take his own securities out on me, someone he clearly thought wouldn't have felt such hurt anyway. I suppose, in this way, I was the perfect target. I'd spent so much time with them, learned their mannerisms enough to understand that certain reactions were a result of their human emotions. Anger, sadness, happiness and fear might cause them to break things or punch the wall, cry into their sleeves, grin wider than a cat or cower away and refuse to participate. I watched my friends, and sometimes I would laugh with them or attempt to feel what they were feeling, even if I couldn't fully process everything they were saying. Jackson had the awful habit of telling us the opposite of what he meant, which was confusing and always left me flustered and unsure of what to say. Thomas loved to tease the others, and you might have thought he was insulting them, but instead of becoming angry, they would pass back a retort of their own. I didn't understand humankind, but I cared for them in my own way. I always provided an ear when they needed someone to talk to, or I'd give them heaps of information from the life advice folder in my processor, which was probably why Thomas often told me to be silent, but never without first calling me a walking encyclopedia. But he never seemed to realize that I was just trying to help. But none of it mattered anyway. I would only ever be an outsider. I rushed quickly through and caught sight of something small and black wriggling around amongst the brambles. There in the grass, bleeding a little from a wound on its belly, was a tiny fur-covered creature. I knelt down beside it and watched it crawl across the damp grass and into my lap, staring up at me with a pair of dark brown eyes rich as the bark of the surrounding trees. Automatically, my processor provided results from an online search. Bear cub, origins unknown. Well, what a lot of help that was. Behind me, suddenly, came the sound of footsteps. Damn you, little bear. I'd barely made it 2 inches before they found me. I would have to try again tomorrow. Isaria and Jasmina peered over my shoulder at the tiny thing, laughing as Jackson and Thomas continued to squint down at the beast like it might open its mouth and bite them. Funny how the storybooks always depicted boys as our fierce protectors. But no one would have said that about those two, and I meant that with the greatest of respect. Silver, I don't think we should stick around for too long, or its mummy might make an appearance, said Jackson, only further proving my point. Well, you could speed up the process a little by actually helping me. The sound of Isaria and Jasmina's sniggering told me I'd caused them some amusement. Good. Leaning against his girlfriend's side and planting a kiss on her cheek, Thomas smiled, and genuinely seemed impressed, while Jasmina just pulled away from him. You're actually quite funny when you want to be, Silver, Thomas said. Now he'd decided to be kind to me. Why are humans so confusing? I'm glad this bag of rods and plastic pleases you for once. Their sniggering made me want to laugh and cry out in joy. System error. Prototype displaying unnatural behaviour. Thomas's scowl told me he wasn't pleased with my retort, which once again brought me a touch of amusement. He ran a hand through his sandy blonde hair, cheeks blushing with what I knew was embarrassment, and stared down at me with a hard gaze. Whatever. He shrugged and left, pulling Jasmina and Jackson along with him. But she cast us a smile and a quick wave before heading through the trees. What was that all about, said Silver, said Isaria. He's never spoken to you like that before. About me, you mean? He didn't exactly say it to my face. She scrunched her face up. Yes, I'm sorry. I've seen that expression countless times before, when Mama and Papa refused to answer my questions about the Still City, when someone in our community became injured and I didn't know how to help them, and when my parents dragged me away from the wall when I was overwhelmed by my curiosity. You have nothing to apologise for. I focused on this poor, injured little bear, not knowing where he really came from. Just like me, I supposed. I moved quickly, reached into the pocket of my cloak, pulled out a clean white bandage and wrapped it around the bear's tummy before tying a knot to hold it together at the ends. You'd better not take that off or there'll be trouble, little friend. Very carefully, I removed the thorns from its paws, only for the sharp thing to get stuck into the synthetic sheeting of my fingertip. My friends would often react more theatrically if this happened to them, and curse or cry out in pain. I did the same and watched Isaria's eyes widen with surprise. You felt that, Silver? She asked with an eyebrow raised in confusion. No, but you would have. Oh, well, I'm glad you're okay. She seemed a little confused because she shrugged and her brow creased into a frown, but then she smiled down at the bear in my arms. Sighing, I brushed the thorn away with a leaf and stroked the animal's soft ears. Thank you, I said, before focusing on the creature again. Goodness, what happened to you? Where had it come from? What hurt it? I glanced around at the surrounding wood, nearby fields. Clearly grateful for its treatment, the bear nuzzled itself against me, tearing me from my thoughts. You're all right now, little one. We're here. It climbed up onto my shoulder and sniffed at my cloak. I stroked its back, running my fingers through its soft fur. It's going to be dark soon, said Isaria, her voice filled with a new concern. We should... Her voice trailed off, and she became distracted by the pitter-patter of footsteps on the other side of the trees. Loud, strong boots. Where had I heard that sound before? I followed her gaze through the rosebush, past the barbed wire. Two men, suited in black jackets with silver stripes coating the chests and bearing swords longer than their arms, hurried past the trees. Soldiers. Elysian soldiers. Or were they from another faraway kingdom? I searched online, scanning their faces. Access denied. Damn it. Even if there was information to be learned about them, clearly my programming wouldn't allow me to find it. Quickly I opened my cloak, letting the bear hide beneath the thick fabric, and tore Isaria against me before ducking against the tree. She cried out when several thorns scraped the skin of her hands and cheek, but I threw my hand over her mouth, silencing her. "What was that? Did you hear that?" said one of the men. "Probably a deer or something," said the other, peering through the trees. Much to my relief and Isaria's. They were mere inches away from seeing her massive blonde curls or the fearful expression on her face. She was holding her breath. Her face continued to redden as bright as beetroot. "Breathe, Isaria," I whispered. "I'd rather not watch you pass out right now." She blinked, but I listened to the sound of her steady breathing once it returned. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why are they here?" "Look, Captain Elderthorn spotted the caravans only a few yards away," one of the men was saying. "It is them, I am sure of it." Caravans? They must have been watching us for a long time if they'd seen our travelling homes before. But that thought just filled me with more questions about my parents. They'd always kept secrets from us. We were always told it was for our own safety. But clearly there was something more going on here. Had our tribe been running from the Elysian guards this entire time? Why? I couldn't make any sense of it. My thoughts continued to spiral, far too heavy for my mind to handle. "But how do we even know what we are looking for?" said the other soldier. "She could be anywhere." "She? Who are they talking about?" "You'll know. Silver hair, not exactly a natural colour, is it? Oh, and eyes as blue as the sea. Slender frame, very pretty. But you know, she is a princess, so what were you expecting?" The soldiers weren't here to hunt down and kill us. They were searching for a princess, and one that just so happened to look like me. And that is the end of chapter 1. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you were interested, it's on Kindle Unlimited and Amazon. And I will probably do the same thing with my other book, The Girl Behind the Glass, when that one is released. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll talk to you in another video.